friends, and welcome back to another episode of Freedom Fridays. My name is Adante. I'm 24 years old, and this is my journey to financial freedom. So in today's financial freedom, I'm going to be talking about mindset and how I've rewired my brain using positive self-talk. Throughout this year, I realized that my mindset is the biggest thing that I have. It's one of my biggest assets, and I literally control it, So if I can control it, if it's one of my biggest assets, I should just be using it to work in my favor versus against me. One thing that I also learned is that your mindset, a lot of it starts in the subconscious, of what you're telling yourself, what, just every day, like what you're thinking. It's just, you're subconsciously doing it, and it's like automatic. You don't even think about it. And so I just started to put myself in a headspace of consciously monitoring what I'm saying, consciously, wanting to put myself in a better headspace to, move forward and positively affect myself. Your mindset being your biggest asset, it literally can catapult you or it can, hinder you. But it all depends on how you decide to use it. So when I first started, my rewiring my brain through positive self-talk, there was 3 things that I started doing. So first, I started to monitor what I was saying to myself. So, I just started paying attention and started listening subconsciously, when an event would happen or when I would have to do a task or, just anything. How does this make me feel? What am I saying to myself? Am I harsh to myself? Am I, positive? Am I being kind to myself? Because I realized I have the potential to just kind of be a little harder on myself whenever I feel like I'm not hitting goals or feel like I should be a little further along than what I am or anything like that. So I just kind of started to monitor what situations bring up certain feelings and then how I'm speaking to myself in those situations. And again, I realized it all starts subconsciously. So now with me monitoring what I'm saying to myself in this self-talk, now I'm actively, moving into the conscious part of my mind, and I'm consciously thinking about what I'm saying. I'm consciously I'm consciously taking the initiative to start positive self-talk so that way I can get out of this negative headspace and start to move forward. Secondly, I started to listen. So when I say that, whenever a certain situation would arise or just anything that would ignite certain feelings inside of me, I would just start to listen to myself. So, okay, why am I feeling this way? Why is it bringing this? How can I go ahead and switch this around so that way I don't view this situation, this topic, or this event as being negative? What can I say to myself, or how can I rewire it to myself so that way I'm thinking positively about it. So I'm thinking I can get something out of it. For example, say, I'm not really feeling it. Like I wake up in the morning, I'm not really feeling it. I'm not sick, but I'm not feeling it. I'm, just a little sluggish. I'm moving a little slower. It's raining outside and I don't want to go to work, I can let all these, negative things or negative aspects, get to me and, kind of hold me in a little funk, and, I can call out of work and everything like that. Or I can just go ahead, it's raining, but however, I'm awake, I'm alive. I have a job to go to. My car is working, I have clothes to put on my back. I have coworkers that are actually, that I have a good relationship with, that I actually like to see, so it's different things like that where I would just start to, but that's just an example, but some things that I would just change in my mind so that way I wouldn't view, being sluggish, having to get up, get dressed, go to work as a bad thing, or, as something that I don't want to do, or I would just start to think, with me having to get up, get dressed, go to work and everything, why am I feeling like that? Having a job is a good thing to go to, waking up is an amazing thing in the morning, having clothes is a great thing. So I would just have to just start to rewire, or just start to figure out why I'm feeling such a negative way about positive things or about a positive thing. Lastly, I began to edit the way I talk to myself. If I'm having any negative self-talk, I'm going to talk to myself positively. If there's a task, there's an event, or, just a situation, something comes up and I'm struggling, I can't do it, I'm failing exams or anything like that, I'm not going to, and, in the past, I would maybe say to myself, oh, work harder, you're dumb, like you can't do this, or why is this happening to me? Like these are all examples of negative self-talk. Now I'll tell myself, okay, you can't do this. This might be where you're struggling, so where you need to work a little harder or study a little harder. Just different things that will keep me positive. It might not work now, or this might not be working now, but that doesn't mean it can't work later or it can't be improved upon. This might be a situation that you're stuck in now, but positively think, how can you get out of it? It won't last forever. So these are just different. So that's just like a different scenarios that I have taken personally for myself to go ahead and get out of the negative self-talk and consciously put myself in a positive headspace. Because if you're thinking about it, with your mindset being your biggest asset, why would you want to sit there and just stay negative all the time? Why wouldn't you want to be positive? And one thing that I also started to think of for myself, how can I sit here and always uplift other people and, let them know that everything is going to be okay? Things only happen for seasons, just to come home or just to be in my own brain, tearing myself down. It doesn't work like that. And, when you start to believe something yourself, when you start to envision yourself as that person, it just starts to radiate out of you, so just go ahead and just start with positive self-talk. And it is something that, it takes repetition. You do have to constantly do it, so that way your subconscious can become conscious, so that way you're just doing it. So that way there isn't ever a time where you're stuck in negative self-talk for so long. Now, granted, just because you start to positively self-talk, that doesn't mean, the negative self-talk just goes away completely. I've been doing this for almost a year now, it's not just gonna go completely away. However, it is a start, it's a stepping stool, and it will gradually start to just become positive. So, this is just something to think about. This is just something that I'm doing. And these are the 3 steps that I've taken and that I'm still actively taking. And I believe that I will continue to take for the rest of my life, just because why wouldn't you want to keep improving your mental health? Why wouldn't you want to keep rewiring the way that you see yourself, the way you see the world, and the way that you see certain situations? So that's where I'm at for that right now. And then I also have a few different tips that I've taken to go ahead and get started. So the first thing that I did when I started this positive self-talk or rewiring my brain journey, I set a goal. Was I going to use positive self-talk, in certain situations? If I was going to use it for behavioral things, for self-esteem, for responsibility, for motivation, I just had to figure out what I wanted to use it for, and then also how often I was going to use it. So I had to just set that goal and then keep that goal in mind. And so when you set this goal for you to use positive self-talk, it can be anything that you want, whether it's situational, whether it's for your self-esteem, whether it's for your motivation, whether, just whatever it is your goal is. Just find out why you want to use positive self-talk, find out what your end result is or your end goal is, and then just cater your goal to that. The second thing I did, I started to listen to myself. So one thing I realized when I actually started listening to what I'm saying to myself during certain situations, I'm actually really, really harsh on myself. Or let me say I was really, really harsh on myself, and that was something that I had to work out of. Now, granted, it is definitely a journey. It's something that I'm still working on. However, I don't want to say the things that I would say to myself, but the way that I would say it to myself, I realized was not the best. And I realized that I ultimately was kind of hindering stunning my own growth. And I'm actually really happy that I decided to take this part of this journey when I did, or I read that book when I did, because who's to say how long this could have kept going for me, So definitely listen to the way that you're talking to yourself. And once you do that, start to watch the way that you talk to yourself, because again, why would you want to, or just me personally, why would I want to uplift someone else just to keep myself down, or how can I do that for someone else but not myself? Really make sure that you're listening to the way that you're talking to yourself, and just don't be harsh to yourself. Be gentle, be kind, be easy, and be loving to yourself. Show yourself some empathy, and and it might seem a little weird at first, if you have to sit here and kind of coddle yourself or talk to yourself. And it is a little weird at first, and it might be at least the way I saw it for myself, a little victimizing. But however, it's what you have to do. Like, it's something new. You just have to get into that repetition of doing it. And it might feel a little weird at first. It might, be a little uncomfortable. However, it's for your biggest asset, which is your mindset, So just go ahead and just start to listen to yourself. And lastly, I wrote a list of negative self-talk that I realized that I was saying to myself, and then I got rid of that and started to implement some positive self-talk. So essentially just a few examples. I can never get anything right. I'm such a failure. Why does this always happen to me? Those three things. Or you can just say, this is happening to me. This is a lesson. What am I learning from this? Okay. And also, instead of saying like, I'm such a failure, okay, I might not have, I failed at this, but that's now. What can I do moving forward to get past this, or to pass or get over this hump, anything like that. So it's just all about what you say to yourself, how you say it, and then just being kind and gentle. Don't be hard on yourself. Like, and I know I'm guilty of it, but just don't be hard on yourself. So I view positive self-talk and rewire the brain as a huge investment into yourself, and it's given me a great return so far. And I'm only a few months into positive self-talk, because I didn't start positive self-talk the beginning of the year when I started my financial freedom journey. I just started this we're in quarter 4 now, so like quarter 3 is when I started this. And I will say it's already given me a great return. It's already given me a great, a different perspective of how to look at situations, how to look at myself, and how to talk to myself, and how to talk myself through certain situations. It's also given me the ability to go ahead and affect some of my coworkers as well. Even though we're all just getting to know one another and everything, we've been at this now for almost 2 months. So, we've all got to make, different and personal connections, and, talk about different things. And, now I'm just at the point, whenever I hear someone, having an issue, or, or if they're venting to me, just having such negative self-talk, I nip it in the bud, and I'm like, this is your situation now. Obviously, I still let you talk. I let you express yourself and get it out. But I will nip it in the bud, and I'm like, this is where you are now. However, you weren't always here. It won't always be like this. And, let's get over this hump. And like, if I hear somebody talking about something like that, I'm never just going to be like, oh, that sucks, or, oh, damn, oh, I'm so sorry to hear that, I'm here for you, what do you, I'm not gonna, say like, what do you need, just in case I can't give it, but I will offer what I can based off of what I'm hearing, and so in the situation that I'm referring to, one of my coworkers were complaining about, like, not complaining, but venting about the situation that they're in and everything like that. And, and I just had to let them know, you weren't always here. You won't always be here. This is the situation that you're dealing with now. However, it was once worse than this. And now you're on the path, and you're taking the steps for it to get better, And so once I explained it to them like that, they started to think of it a little differently. And they're like, what, Dante, you're right. So I never want to keep ever since I started this portion of the journey, I never want to keep my own self in a negative headspace. And I definitely don't want anyone around me to be in a negative headspace. So, just do whatever it is that you need to do. Positive self-talk to go ahead and get yourself through it. Or instead of doing what you need to do, say what you need to say to yourself to get yourself through a bad time, through a hump, through a situation, or anything like that. So when you start engaging in positive self-talk to rewire the brain, you should be spending the majority of your time in positive self-talk, especially in the beginning. So that way you're rewiring your brain for the positive self-talk. If you're not spending your time there, I can almost guarantee you you're not gonna adhere to it. You're just gonna continue to fall into that same cycle of negative self-talk, of self-doubt, of, not completing anything, and ultimately frustration and anger because you're not seeing any type of positive results. So in order to spend more time in positive self-talk, one thing that I was doing other than monitoring, listening, and editing, I would actively, listen to myself. I would actively pay attention to myself. I was actively taking the initiative to spend my time in positive self-talk. So when I first started this, there wasn't much time that I was giving myself to be negative about a situation, to, be uncomfortable with a situation, to not like a situation, okay, if it would approach, if I didn't like it, if I was uncomfortable, if it wasn't for me, now I'm gonna rewire this. I'm gonna talk good to myself to make this fit for me, to make this work for me, to make this situation easier on me, So you should definitely spend a majority of your time there. If you are not, start. I guarantee you it will be the biggest return for you. Like, start there. Like, everything that we have, everything that we come from, everything, like how we grow, is from our own minds. So definitely don't hinder yourself. And before I get out of here, I want to leave you with this. Focus on what is in your control. And again, focus on what is in your control. Our self-talk, our positivity, that is in our control. That's something that we, you, me, each and every one of us has control over of ourselves, So if you are looking to make a change, if you're looking to get out of a negative space, if you're looking to, just rewire, yourself in any capacity, spend majority of your time in positive self-talk, actively listen to yourself, monitor your talking, and edit your self-talk to yourself. Spend that time, and again, in the beginning, it might be a little weird, it might be a little uncomfortable. However, be weird and uncomfortable to better yourself. Be weird and uncomfortable to move yourself forward. Be weird and uncomfortable to implement some positive self-talk and to rewire your brain for the better. This is the biggest return that you can have for yourself. This is a huge return that I have given to myself, and I just want to share this with you guys, and I hope that you all have learned something from this, and I hope that you all start to implement some form of positive self-talk in your life, whether it's situational, emotional, relationship, if it's for self-esteem, financially, career-wise, just for any type of reason. I hope that, each and every one of us either starts or continues to monitor our positive self-talk. And I want to thank you all so much for joining me. My name is Adante, and this is my journey to financial freedom. And I will see you, friends, next week.